Joining us right now, we're going to take the phone call. Man, the last time, if I'm not mistaken, this guy was on the show. He had just dropped his phone into the Hillsborough River in the championship boat parade. So I assume he got a new phone because he's calling back into the show. Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Chris Godwin. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great, Rich. And yeah, man, I got a new phone.
Okay.
You know, it's funny how things work out.
Yeah.
You know, my folks at Verizon looked out for me, man. It was but I'll tell you this: if there's a time for me to lose a phone, I'll definitely take that one.
You'll take that ring for phone trade every single time, right, Chris?
Every single time, every single one.
Yeah, that Lombardi's got great reception. I would agree. So, what's your mindset heading into this training camp season, Chris? Walk me through that right now.
I mean, I feel like for me, every time I go on a training camp, like regardless of like what the like our team's expectations are, I feel like my approach is always just to try to like find different ways to get better like each day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like, you know, we all spend like the entire off season like working on our craft and working to get better. And like I never want to be one of those guys that like once I get to training camp, we just kind of like hit like a plateau and then like that's where you are for the season, right? Like I want to try to make sure that I'm growing every day and still like learning. You know, I'm going into year 7 now, but like I feel like there's still so much, you know, so much ball that I have to learn and so much I have to experience. So, you know, I'm excited about this opportunity, man.
Well, and obviously, what comes as a challenge this year is catching footballs from a new quarterback, whoever that may be. How do you go through a process of gaining chemistry in a quarterback competition as you have right now, Chris? How do you do that?
I feel like honestly, I feel like the biggest thing, right, is communication. Like I feel like whenever there's a lack of communication, I feel like that's when you see you know, bad plays show up like between quarterbacks and receivers. So I mean, like you said, we don't know who the quarterback is going to be, but I think that from my perspective, I just got to make sure that our chain of communication between Baker and Kyle, you know, is as clear as it can be, and just try to be, you know, as receiver friendly or as quarterback friendly as I can to those guys. You know, they have a lot of stuff going on anyway. You know, the competition, but also playing quarterback's a hard position, and I don't know if everyone fully understands just how much they have to know. But I don't want to be, you know, a reason to add any extra stress to their lives, you know.
So how do you become quarterback friendly? Like, what does that mean, quarterback friendly, from your perspective?
Well, for me,
Chris,
from my perspective, right, it's doing the little things right. You know, like if it's like for instance, if you're running like an out route,
mm-hmm.
like not drifting up the field and allowing the DB to undercut the ball. It's like, you know, working on friendly angles when you're coming out of your breaks. It's seeing the coverages the same way that the quarterback sees the coverages, so that whenever you make route adjustments, y'all on the same page, and the plays just happen like easy, right? And it's like understanding like when you're running, when to sit in zones, you know, when to run away from guys, understanding like the general spacing of the plays. And so obviously, like I take care of that by knowing what to do, and then communicate with them to see how they see it, and then we just put it together on the field. And like, it's not going to be something that happens overnight. It's going to be something that we develop over the course of training camp. But as long as we're working in the same direction, you know, we're working on the same things, I think we'll be good.
And obviously you've been around Kyle Trask since he's been drafted. But Baker Mayfield is new to the scene. Chris, what's your impression of what you see out of him, from him, that you want to see in a starting quarterback? What do you got for me there?
I like what I see so far, man. He's you know, he's been a really good guy, like in our locker room so far, and like that was like the first thing that stood out to me was just, you know, like the way he carries himself. You know, he's not like some arrogant guy that's gonna come in and be like, oh, I'm the guy, and all you guys need to kind of like fall in line. It's like,
hold on a second, Chris? Did you think he was going to be that guy coming in based on what happened in Cleveland a little bit? You can be honest.
I mean, I feel like whenever you like, you know, like people have like different like perceptions like that are portrayed, like whether it's in the media or like just through other people, and like you just never really know. And I feel like sometimes like quarterbacks may have like that, not like an arrogance to them, but like a confidence to them where they walk in and they're like they try to overlead too soon. But it's like it's hard to have, you know, like to get people to follow you as a leader if they don't know who you are, right? If they don't know how you work, if they don't know like the type of work ethic you have, if they don't know that we're all like in it together, then it's hard to get people to follow you. And so, so far he's come in and he's just been one of the guys. And I think that allows him to be able to, like, in times where he needs to be a leader, I think it allows him the space to be able to step in and be like, this is what we need to do, because he's already working on building those relationships with guys.
Well, I think one thing that you can say based on perception with Baker Mayfield is there is a chip on the shoulder. I mean, he had it at Oklahoma, man, when he was planting flags in Columbus and, doing what he did in Oklahoma, and obviously what was his birthing into the league in Cleveland. Guy had a chip on his shoulder, and then, a shoulder gets hurt significantly, and he shows up in your spot with an opportunity again here in this league for a first overall pick that you could say potentially has been humbled a little bit, but that chip's still there. And there's a lot of guys on your team that won the chip, if you will, a couple of years ago. And do you think you're potentially being overlooked right now in Tampa, Chris Godwin?
I mean, I think that, like, that most people on the team would think so. But what I also know, right, is, like, talk is cheap, right? I feel like there are people like that are out there, like, that are paid. Like, you guys are paid to talk. There's a lot of people paid to speculate about the season because, like, like, that's what you guys do. But, I mean, how I look at it is, like, if you look back just a year ago, right, like, we were predicted to be one of the best teams in the league just based on the talent that we had on our roster. But clearly, like, at the end, when we got to the end of the season, we saw that, like, it's clearly not just the sheer amount of talent that you can accumulate. Like, there's a reason that we play the games. And so, like, I like that kind of thing kind of brings me, like, some, a sense of, like, calmness, because I know that we just have to go out there and we have to put the work in. Like, regardless of who's playing, like, regardless of who the quarterback is, what plays are being called. Like, if we don't have our team chemistry on point, like, if we're not all working, like, and pulling the rope in the same direction, it's going to be for none. You can have as much talent as you want, but if, teams that are playing together, playing as a team, they can come in and beat the most talented team if they're not on their P's and Q's. So I think it's on us to go out there and actually put the work in, and for us to determine what the season is going to be like based on the kind of work that we put in and how committed we are, and and those types of things. So I'm excited about this opportunity, man. Like, regardless of, like, whatever the outside talk is, I'm excited to go to work with these guys and see what we can craft up.
Well, I mean, you're right. Talk is cheap, and I am paid to talk. I'm just really good at it, though, Chris. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Okay, I just want to make sure. I have a chip on my shoulder too. We all have. How different is the offense going to look like now that Byron Leftwich is out, and that's the Arians era, one would say, on that side of the line of scrimmage? How are things going to look different, do you think, this year, potentially?
I mean, I definitely think it's going to look different. Like, I think, like, the presentation of things is going to be a bit different, right? If you look at, like, some of the stuff that that Dave and Brad did when they were in Seattle, like, obviously, like, what they did compared to, like, what we've done in the past is very different, right? And I think that, like, the interesting thing is, like, for them to be able to kind of come in, like, merge kind of, like, the two systems, right? And to take some of the stuff that they've been doing really well, and take some of the stuff that some of our guys are, like, accustomed to, and kind of, like, merging, like, the systems, right? So I think that, like, I think that we're going to have to be significantly better running the ball, right? And I think we might have been 32nd in the league last year. So, like, it's only up from here, right? So I think just like from that perspective, it's already going to look a lot different because of, like, just our commitment to the run game. And I think that if we're able to really establish that, then a lot of other things open up for us. But I think it'll be interesting to see just, like, how Dave, like, kind of reacts as a play caller, not only to, like, adversity, but to success as well. Trying to find, like, our niche of things that we do well, and to make sure that we're able to just, like, execute at a high level, right? Like, it doesn't have to be incredibly complicated, but we have to be able to make sure that all of our guys understand what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, and then figure out the best way to get them in positions to do that.
You're referring to Dave Canales, the new offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach in Seattle last year. I spoke to Rachaad White yesterday. He seems ready for the challenge and excited for the opportunity. And then that game you had with Seattle last year, I called it for NFL Network in Germany. That was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. I know you guys played your head off in that game as well. It might have been like the best game you played all year, to be blunt, I guess. But that was incredible. That was unbelievable. That game in Germany. Yeah, Chris, right? I mean,
I'm right there with you.
Right?
It was I really wasn't sure what to expect when we got out there.
Me too.
I wasn't sure like how, just like how the German fan base was going to react. Like I knew like there was a lot of excitement just based on like how fast the tickets sold, but you never really know. Like it was like their first real taste of of American football, and and they, like you said, they did not disappoint at all, man.
No.
Like I still vividly like remember like I think like as the game was coming to an end, like the whole stadium is singing Country Road.
Country Road, that's
and
right.
I'm looking around, I'm like, man, I don't know if half these people know where West Virginia is, but they're like, verbatim and they're singing and they got the lights on. And it was just like, I was like, man, this is sick. Like I was very grateful to be a part of that experience, man. It was like kind of like a mix between like pro football and like pro soccer kind of atmosphere.
Yeah,
so
it was a 2-minute warning. It was a 2-minute warning. By the way, I didn't think that they know where West Germany is, but not West Virginia, right? and it was my job. I was coming out of the 2-minute warning, and and you guys needed one first down to get it, which Rachaad White did get, and I was just letting the audience hear at home what we were hearing at the stadium, which was them singing John Denver word for word, and it was wild. The whole week was wild, and I know after the game, Brady said it was up there with a Super Bowl experience for him and his career. That was that was great, man. It really was. Have you spoken to Brady lately at all, Chris?
Not a ton. I think we talked a couple of times since he retired, but not within like the last couple of months, man. I think I'm definitely a person. I like to give people like their space, and I feel like with Tom, like he's been doing this for so long, man, and now he's finally retired. Like I think it's cool to see him getting to spend as much time like as he has with his family, but also like getting to see him like step out there and kind of like open himself up to as like a resource to like a lot of different guys. Like I feel like the thing that he was doing like with the first round quarterbacks this year, like that's very cool to me. Like just kind of like being able to pass, to pass the game down to them and just give them like a little bit more tools in their toolbox to allow them to be successful. I'm like that stuff is very cool, man. Because like what better person to learn from, than the greatest quarterback of all time.
So other than footballs, what did he pass to you, Chris?
Yeah,
what did he do?
Man, just a lot of knowledge on just how to be like how to continue to be the best pro that I can be, right? Like the importance of making sure like that you're taking care of your body all the time. Like how you have to make sure that you're always in position to win, right? And trying to make sure that it's not that football isn't a more difficult game like than it needs to be. Like you can't just go out there and just like bank on like your guy being the guy that wins his rep every single time, because we have some extremely elite players in this league, and like everyone, like we're like the best, the best in the world at what we do. So like odds are like, you're gonna win some and you're gonna lose some. So if you're just like banking on that math, it's not gonna work. But so like understanding like, the things that you need to do to be able to put yourself in a position to win, but also just like, carrying yourself the right way, treating people in the locker room the right way, things that I've already done. But it's like, it's cool to get kind of like the reassurance, from someone that's been doing it for as long as he was, that I'm just headed in the right direction.
Your teammate Antoine Winfield Jr. says he doesn't think he's retired. Did you hear that one, Chris?
I didn't, but honestly, I think that's pretty funny. I'd be very surprised if he came out of retirement again. Like you put me down for, I'd be very, very shocked.
I'll put you down for that for sure. Hey, great chatting with you. Let's do this more often than every couple of years. And tell your colleague Mike Evans not to make me feel like I'm twisting his arm when he comes on this program. He doesn't really talk much.
Yeah.
He likes throwing milestone footballs into the stands more than talking. So let's.
I'll get on about that. I have to let him know about himself.
Tell him I said hi, but that do this a little bit more? Oh, the creamsicle uniforms are coming back, right? Is that what's happening this year? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be sick.
When is that? Do we know when that is? Do we know when that is?
I think versus the Lions. It might be like week 6 or something like that.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Cream. So what do you? You've got to score in a creamsicle uniform, right? I mean, like that has.
Got to. That would be sick. That would be very sick. I want to score multiple times.
That's it. There we go. You got to be greedy. Chris, thanks so much. Greatly appreciate the time. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Have a good one, Rich.
You bet. That's Chris Godwin, one of Penn State's finest. See, TJ, I can talk about other schools.
Penn State man.
That's right. He is. Chris Godwin.
He is.
We are.
Right here on the Rich Eisen Show.
Godwin.
That was great.
Godwin's a good dude, man.
Great talking
Good
with him.
player.
He's so good.
So
really
good.
is.
I'm glad he got his phone.
Well, he got a new phone.
I don't know.
Yeah.
A phone. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.